welcome to our program today. Among the guests on the schedule are Mr. and Mrs. William Putch. All of us know Mrs. Putch as Jean Stapleton, who plays Edith Bunker in All in the Family. We'll be talking to Louise Brown, who is Director of Parks and Recreation. She's going to bring one of her favorite pets from the zoo. And our guests in this opening part of our program, they're going to participate in the Powderpuff Derby. And it is a very important one because it is to be the final Powderpuff Derby for reasons that have to do with the economy and the energy shortage, etc., etc. There's not going to be another Powderpuff Derby after this one. Anyway, they are Jeanne Bedlinger and Carolyn Rowney. They're pilot and co-pilot of this particular craft that will depart along with some almost 199 other planes. Yes. From Sacramento, California to Wilmington, Delaware. And as I understand it, it's not necessarily a speed race. It's not, you're not trying to outdo the other.
No.
This has to do with the capability of the individual craft.
Each airplane is handicapped, given a handicapped speed, and it's the one who makes the most speed over and above that handicapped speed that actually wins the race. There will be aircraft of from 150 horsepower to 400 horsepower competing in this race. With each one handicapped, then it's a fair race.
Do you go to training for such a race? Do you do anything? Are you doing anything now to prepare for this long haul?
Not especially, but we have pre-flown the eastern half of the race route. We left Sunday for Lubbock, Texas, and flew from there to Oklahoma City, to Little Rock, to Nashville, Parkersburg, West Virginia, to the terminus at Wilmington, Delaware. Many of the crews will do this before the race.
Yeah.
Other than that, it is the qualifications required of the pilot. He must or she must have experience. She must have at least a commercial license or an instrument rating. And
you've been flying since '61.
Right.
And you started in '69.
That's right.
What motivated you to take up flying?
Well, in both cases, our husbands started to fly, and they both thought that it would be a good idea if we knew how to land the airplane, since we were going to be going with them.
Oh, in the event there was any problem.
Yes.
That is kind of a safety precaution, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a good insurance policy.
Were you in any way nervous? Did you have any fears?
I could hardly wait.
Really?
Oh, when he said you'd better start learning how, I said, when? Let's go.
Yeah, that is true. I know that the rare times that I have been in a plane with just the pilot, I've often wondered up there, supposing he has a heart attack or something goes wrong, and I have to get us down. How will I ever do it?
It is a good insurance policy, and we do recommend this for any women whose husbands fly.
But even aside from that, is there? What else does it do for you? Why would you recommend it to other women?
Oh, it's hard to explain. There's a feeling of freedom that you cannot explain. A pilot knows what I mean, but
there's a sense of abandon you feel.
Yes,
I think I know what you mean. I think I experienced this once on a motorcycle.
You may have.
It's just like the wind and the rain in your hair and all that, and you're doing it yourself.
That's right.
It's a sense of accomplishment
also. A nice feeling.
It's a challenge.
Have you ever had been involved in any danger?
No.
Oh, no, not really, not danger. We've been involved in instrument flying conditions that, they demand an awful lot of the pilot, a lot of concentration. You've got to know what you're doing, and it's come out fine, and not dangerous, though, not in any way, no.
Well, there is a newscaster in this area who refers to plane accidents many times as a routine accident. I get the feeling that you would do the same. What are those things on your lap, Mrs. Rowney?
Well, the first thing we brought was a small picture of the race route. If your camera can see it,
this is the route from Sacramento, California to Wilmington, Delaware. How long will it take you to fly this route?
We plan on 3 days because we will be making each refueling stop. And
you only fly daytime?
Right.
Yeah.
Sunrise to sunset, the race. That's one of the race rules. And if you go over sunset, you're disqualified. These are just some of the pilot tools. This is a plotter, which we use to draw our course across the map and figure our headings, measure our distance, of course. And this is a computer, which is also probably used even more.
Oh, it looks so technical.
We figure our...
Not really.
It isn't really?
No.
Our ground speeds and times and distances and wind correction angles.
Does it help to have a mathematics background or anything to work these things?
No.
It looks so difficult to someone who doesn't know.
It's not. It's a circular slide rule. It's what it is.
These carry-all bags, what do they represent?
Well, this is one that all the stop chairmen are selling right now as a means of raising money for the Powderpuff Derby, the ATA, which is all-woman transcontinental air race. And as an interesting little tale, the daughter of the woman who is the Ways and Means chairman is married to Charlie Schultz.
Well, that'd be a reason then, yes, to have something that's...
And he's been giving us these Snoopy things, or making them up for us. And then this bag we brought along just to show the 99s emblem. 99s, people say, what is 99s? It's the International Organization of Women Pilots, founded by Amelia Earhart. And we've been asked, why 99s? There were just a few over 100 licensed women pilots when Amelia Earhart founded this organization, she and Ruth Nichols. And the number of the charter members was 99. And so Amelia Earhart suggested that name for the name of the organization.
Very good. So when we watch the Powderpuff Derby begin on July 9th, we know that two of the pilots, Carol Rowney and Jeanne Bedlinger, will be manning one of them. I shouldn't say manning, should I? Yeah, womaning just doesn't sound fine. But you'll be one of the craft, the one that is sponsored by the American Popcorn Company of Sioux City, Iowa. Good luck to you, and thanks again.
Thank you very much.
I'll return in just a few moments with William Putch and his wife, Jean Stapleton. You appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Putch, but it is a rare sight for those of us who are accustomed to seeing Edith Bunker with her television husband to find her real-life husband beside her. You don't look at all like Archie Bunker, Mr. Putch.
Thank you.
Has this happened to you often? Because I don't recall seeing you on TV.
No, well, I don't usually appear.
Well, he's been on some talk shows.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry to say I've missed them. But anyway, Mr. and Mrs. William Putch are in Pittsburgh for a couple of reasons. One has to do with a session they had this morning with students at Carnegie Mellon. They had a rap session, talked to them about comedy in general. Mr. Putch is, he worked here. He is from this area, Bellevue, by the way. He worked with some of the technicians at KDKA when it was known as Dumont. He used to produce children's shows for the Pittsburgh Playhouse Junior.
Right.
And has some famous graduates such as Shirley Jones. I'm sure many others you run into.
Chuck Roden.
Chuck Roden is another one.
Yes.
But anyway, in this evening, they will be honored by the Alumni Association at Carnegie Mellon at a dinner dance at which 300 or more will attend. They will be honored. And how nice. Indeed. How nice of you to come to your husband's alma mater.
Oh, it's nice. They made me an honorary member of the Alumni Association out in California just last January, which I thought was terribly nice because I've never been a member of an alumni association because I didn't have the benefit of college and therefore didn't have a degree. So in addition to this honorary membership, they gave me a degree, and it's called the Bachelor of Fine Parts. So I cherish that very much.
That's good to hear. You operate the Totem Pole Playhouse.
Right, 23 years.
23 years, and every season your wife has participated.
Well, it's very interesting because Jeanne and I have done over 60 plays there.
Yeah.
And before she became well known on television, I can remember when the mayor of a nearby town was coming up to the theater, and this was before All in the Family, and he came up to the box office, and there was this poster right beside the box office, and we were advertising some play, and it said, "With Jean Stapleton," and he had some guests with him. And the man said, "Jean Stapleton, that name sounds familiar." And the mayor of the town said, "Oh, that's the producer's wife. She can't get a job anywhere else."
I love that.
I've reminded him of it a couple times when he comes up now and can't get a ticket to see her in the play.
Things have changed at your theater since the success of All in the Family, haven't they?
Yes, it's been booming. Yes, and it's been nice. 112% of capacity is nice.
That is nice.
Nice
That is
capacity.
nice. How did, well, people forget that you started in the theater.
That I started?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they do, but it's a very natural way to start. I was telling the students of Carnegie Mellon this morning that it's the best way to start, in my opinion, because if you have that solid foundation of treading the stage and that experience with audiences, in addition to other advantages, then you can do taped television, because we do our show before a live audience.
Yeah.
And those who have only been in films are quite disturbed, you know, and in this situation. And so those, the drama department of Carnegie Mellon has been a subject of my admiration for many years, not only because my husband graduated from there, but some really marvelous actors are from that that school. And I was, if I may say, tell it now, very deeply impressed to learn that they are starting a theater, a summer theater out there, which will be peopled with professional actors, equity actors, hopefully graduates, you know, of years past. And they're opening June 29th, and they're going to run 2 weeks. The championship season will be the first play. The second play is...
The Show Off.
Yes, The Show Off by George Kelly. And the third play is The Guardsman. So it'll be a 6-week season this year.
Yeah.
But it can grow to very major proportions if they...
How nice of you to have that interest in this.
Well, I do, because, and there are many famous graduates who are interested. Seda Thompson is interested.
Oh, yes.
And
Jack Klugman.
Jack Klugman, you know, and that's an exciting thing that's coming.
Yeah. And in person, you are so different from the Edith Bunker.
That's good.
I guess. No, but how did that character evolve? What was it, a combination of your effort and the producers, or how?
The writer, yes. I think that Norman Lear at that time was writing as well as producing it. And that's true of most writers in Hollywood. They become producers. And it was truly a team effort. There were added 3 more writers. And the first year, it was a steady evolution in rehearsal and in the situation the writers put down on the paper that week. You know, she grew. Many dimensions and qualities just come in.
Just came out.
As
oh, it's, well, really, it's, I know you've heard it
develops.
many times, and you're probably tired of hearing it, but you are tremendous in that role.
Well,
you really are.
And then I must give proper credit to Carol O'Connor, who is playing of Archie, who was so very strong.
Well, both of
and
you
real.
are so good together.
If I, the actress, listens to my partner in a scene, naturally I'm going to respond in character, and that's how it grows too.
Bill, has it been difficult living with a successful wife?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Your life has
is
changed,
very,
though, outside
not
of the...
really. It hasn't changed the way our home is or the way we are as people, I don't think. What it is there's just a lot more kind of benefits that go with it.
Well, aside from the money, for example.
Well, I'm just talking about things are easier.
Yeah.
You know, the theater is more successful. We're not worrying about where tomorrow's job is coming from. Jeanne is now independent enough that anywhere she wants to go and work, whatever she wants to do, you know, that's the advantage of television, which opens this big door.
Was it just with the beginning of the All in the Family, I mean, its success, that you were rid of these worries? You said that it used to be difficult and you had worries about, you know, the theater and so forth.
Well, it made life a lot less
But was it as recently, how old is All in the Family now, 5, 6 years?
6 years.
Right. 6 years.
Yes.
Was it just until then that
Yes, the summer after. You see, because they went on mid-year. They start in January. And at the end of the first 13 weeks, she won her first Emmy. And when we came back to the area where the theater is, we were still living there. Jeanne was living in a motel in Los Angeles. And there was a motorcade to...
In Chambersburg, Pennsylvania.
And a big
They
to-do
made me
on
feel
the...
like a returning astronaut, truly.
Well, you did take off, you know.
I did. Yeah. But
it
he's very modest. It isn't easy to be Mr. Stapleton, which sometimes he has to be, you know.
People can be so
very
cruel
often.
that way, too, don't they?
And they, you know, people are very thoughtless sometimes. They meet me and they meet him, and, you know, they don't give him the time of day, and they look at him 2 minutes later and they don't remember who he is. That's all of those little things he has endured.
But I know who
great
I am,
character.
so it doesn't matter.
Yes, yes, but still it was testing time.
Do you appreciate it, Jeanne, when people call you Mrs. Putch?
Yes, yes,
you?
I think it's very nice. But, you know, I don't have to... It's no great thing. It's not a grim thing. What's in a name?
It's very interesting because I do have some relatives here in town, Marie is, but my name was originally Pucci, and when my father came over as
Italian.
Yes, as an immigrant from Italy, it was changed at Ellis Island by an Irish policeman who couldn't figure out how to say P-U-C-C-I.
Yeah.
So then, all these years that I was growing up through high school, my name was Putch. And then, when I got to Carnegie Tech as a freshman, I went into speech class, and Edith Skinner, she said, now I will call out your name. So she called out my name, Putch. And I said, no, my name is Putch. And she said, you cannot have that combination and pronounce it that way. There's a P-U-T-Ch. And she went, and from then on, I was Putch. So there are some Putches in Pittsburgh who are related to me, but ever since 1942, I've been Putch. And it was a lot easier in the Army, too. Somehow or other, that was easier to say because it rhymes with Dutch and Putch, Dutch.
Jeanne, when it comes to the plays at the totem pole, I would imagine, since you are heavily involved of, what is it, 5 months a year with All in the Family?
Yes, 24 shows. And
that when it comes to selection of plays, you do something that is completely different.
Oh, yes.
Like
yes.
what?
Like this year, Hay Fever by Noel Coward, and a Sidney Howard play, The Late Christopher Bean, which is a lovely play. It's a very old play. Lovely part, but they're two good plays, and that's what we've done all through the years, and you know, that's the best thing I can do to go back refreshed, is to play different roles.
Do you tend to want to look for a glamorous type of character too?
It's not necessary, but it
nice.
Of course does erase the image of Edith, but it's not necessary, just so she's not like Edith, the character. That I would not do anywhere.
Does it bother you to be on television before so many millions of people, as plain as you appear as Edith Bunker?
No, because I've been doing it all my life. I never was an ingenue. I was a character ingenue, and my forte, my flair was characterization, and so it's what I enjoy. I don't mind.
Has the success made it any more difficult to raise the children, because I mean, suddenly they're singled out as Jean Stapleton's children?
No, because we keep that to a minimum, you know. But in school, they have no problem. They know that I'm their mother. But of course, they're going to school in L.A., and they're rather familiar with that lifestyle. There are many other children in their classes who are sons and daughters of actors, so they take it quite for granted, fortunately.
I'll give you an example of that. In John's school, one of his classmates is Louise Fletcher's son, who just won the Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And so after she won the Oscar, John went up to this young fella and said, "Weren't you thrilled about your mother getting the Oscar?" And the kid said, "Ah." So, I mean, young people are
which is kind of nice. That affected
it is very nice, very nice.
Do they make a point?
You can trust the young person, you know?
When All in the Family comes on, do you make it a family project to sit by? You don't?
They watch it occasionally. I'm flattered when they do watch it, but they're not obligated to watch it.
No.
I watch it. He isn't even obligated to watch it.
You saying you don't watch it?
I might say,
not
oh,
unless...
listen, there's a good one I want you to see, but he's seen it at the taping, so he's bored by then.
Not really bored.
No. But I
don't even see my own plays more than once. I mean, that's
We'll continue our program with William Putch and Mrs. Putch, who is Jean Stapleton, in just a few moments.
Very good on the pronunciation.
Our guests are William Putch and his wife Jean Stapleton, who are in Pittsburgh as guests of Carnegie Mellon University. Mr. Putch is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon, and this morning both of them rapped with the students on some of the important qualities for comedy on television. They'll be the guests of honor this evening at a Carnegie Mellon alumni dinner dance at the Hilton Hotel. We're awfully sorry for those of you who are trying to get through to our guests through our phone lines. We have a problem with the phones, and therefore we cannot take them on the show, but we do know what some of you want to ask the Putches, and I thought I would ask one or two from the callers who have been phoning in. One call is a classmate of yours who recalls that in 1945 your song, Your Melody of Love, and wants to know if you're doing any more music writing.
Good heavens, no.
Was that the first and last?
No, this was a poem I wrote in the Army, and I sent in a coupon, very much like Edith Bunker did one time.
Oh, yes.
And a man named Chaw Mank charged me $60 to set it to music. Oh. And the radio station, the KIDO in Boise, Idaho, put their main singer on the cover of the thing, and it's.
Yeah.
I still have this sheet music at home. Yeah. Good heavens! Does she leave her name? Who is it?
No, but maybe she'll be good enough to call.
1945. Of course, I was in the service then, so.
Maybe she'll be good enough to call in later and leave a phone number so that Bill Putch can get involved. Another question had to do with advising young people, which I guess would be something like you did this morning with the students at Carnegie Mellon. What basically, when students do come to you for advice, what do you normally tell them?
Well, we told them this morning that, as we just said a few minutes ago, that I think that they should start in the theater and get as much experience as they can. And I also think, and it's a subject we didn't cover this morning, is that they should have another skill, whatever appeals to them, something they can make a living with while they are struggling to get into the profession.
Did you have many days of struggle that you recall?
Years. Well, you know, it was never struggle because I enjoyed what I was doing.
Well, as far as eking a living.
Yes, I worked as a secretary for years.
Yes. She can still take shorthand.
Oh, sure. And I can type.
Dictate to every now and then.
No, not anymore. And she still can outspell me with my college education,
but
or without it. And she's the speller in the family.
And now men can be secretaries, which is nice, too.
Yeah.
But, of course, there are other fields. People have artistic talents. They should use them in the graphic arts. Bill went to... the first year of college, he was in printing, and it's served him well as a producer in the theater.
Am I wrong in thinking, though, that to go, once you get out of college, it is more difficult to pursue a producing career than an acting career? That is, produce is pretty much a top position, isn't it?
Of course, but if they want to get into that end of television, then go to the center of television and centers and get involved with the production organization. Start at the lowest rung of the ladder, and then that leads to experience if they want to go in a technical direction, you know? That's what they do out in California in Norman Lear's organization. He starts them as drivers for him, and he tries to find young people who are writing students, you know, or aspiring writers. That's who he tries to help.
But don't you find more and more, though, that there is a desire on the part of people just fresh out of college of starting at the top?
I don't know. I haven't talked to enough college
people. Well, I think there's a lot more opportunity now in the theater because we have the regional theaters all over the United States. And when I got out of school in 1949, you could either go to New York or Los Angeles. And there was kind of nothing in between. And now we have these marvelous regional theaters that have, they're not called apprentices, they're called journeymen. Yes. And they take young people, and they also do this with the staff people as far as costumes, scenery, business management, and producing. And the way I got to Totem Pole was that I was working at the Pittsburgh Playhouse, and I wanted to direct, and Mr. Burley was not about to let anyone else direct at that playhouse. And I saw this ad in Theater Arts magazine that the Totem Pole was for rent. So I drove up one Sunday afternoon and saw it, and I rented it, and I've been there ever since.
It's near Gettysburg.
Yes. So there's still the opportunity to become your own producer.
Yeah.
And I would find it very difficult now to go back and suddenly work for another producer now that I've been my own producer,
I would
director.
Think so. But you just did.
Yes, but I was a co-producer, and that helped.
He just took a play, directed a play in which I was in, and a wonderful cast from California, and we did Paul Osborne's Mornings at 7. We played it a week in Palm Beach and 3 weeks in Toronto, and it was very successful.
To get back to All in the Family, is there any one of the four of you who is between performances a cut-up Is it, you know what I mean? Is there anyone? Is it lighthearted on set?
Oh, in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's lighthearted as well as serious business. You know, I've never seen a more professional group. They're very professional, and we find our lightness in laughing at each other.
Yeah.
When we get a new script, you know.
Do you break up when you're reading it?
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And we sometimes continue to break up until we're down there with the cameras, and then we get very serious. But I laugh at Carol. I laugh at his expressions.
Yeah.
You know, he's killing, just killing. And if we do something especially funny or find it together, we laugh. But then we cut the laughter out when we have to do it.
Is there any room for improvisation?
Oh, yes, we do that too, when we're in trouble.
Yeah.
When we need better lines,
Yeah.
you know, or we suggest something additional.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this, and then a line comes out of something. Some interplay, you know,
Yeah.
of the characters. It's fascinating and stimulating, and it's the most intelligent and creative bunch, and of course that's a great blessing to work with people like that.
There was a fear, was it last year, that you were going to lose your sidekick? Wasn't there was some
last year?
contractual problem? Yeah.
Oh, that rumor comes out every year. I'm waiting to see what the rumors will be this year, but they're expanded. You know, they're expanded. Those stories. A person is having a normal negotiation. It's expanded, and people get all kinds of fancy rumors. I remember one that amused us the most was that Carol and I weren't speaking to each other. We've never had a moment's
Really?
friction, you know, and that really, we laughed about that.
There is great curiosity, isn't there? As you travel around the country, people want to know about what do they really like.
Yes, they ask me, and I'm happy to tell them what a. Did I mention this, or I did it this morning? What a cultivated, kind, liberal, intelligent, delightful person Carol is. He's just wonderful to work with, and a great storyteller.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, but he looks the type who is a great storyteller.
Oh, yes.
I can just see him take a great relish in telling
yes.
dialect stories. I bet.
He's very good at that. Yes.
You got the tendency to want to call you Edith is so great. I can't tell you.
I'm grateful to you for restraining yourself.
But you did musicals.
Yes, and I look forward to doing more.
Was there musical training?
Well, yes. Oh, there is now too. Yeah, I started the training, and then I started out and I auditioned for a soloist in a church and got it, to my great surprise, and that was the beginning. Then I went and I auditioned for Broadway musicals and started. George Abbott took me on as in Damn Yankees. So that was my first musical, and I continued to love them. I love doing them, and I don't sing, as you hear me weekly at the beginning of the show, and now I'm doing more and more, and I hope in the future to do a new musical. And to prove my worth, I'm going to be soloist with the Westchester Symphony, which is a group that has a benefit in L.A. in May, and I'm going to sing 4 Viennese numbers because they have a Viennese ball. That's their benefit night. And I'm going right back to L.A. to be in a musical history of American popular music with Walter Matthau and B. Arthur and myself, and we're going to sing some very obscure songs from the past that connect with periods of history. The only song they sent to me that I know is My Old Kentucky Home. The rest I never heard of. There's one about I want to be an actor lady, somewhere in the 1900s this was sung. There's another about I trust my husband but I like to stick around. You never heard.
So you mentioned that Jeanne has reached a point in her career where she can just about do whatever she wants. What about you? Are you doing what you want to do, or is there something that
Oh,
you...
absolutely. I'm totally free as far as activity. In the winters, I've been turned back to acting, and all of a sudden, people seem to be interested in me again now that I'm
As an actor?
Yes, a little older. And then, of course, this road show that went out was a great new boon. And we now own the production, and we're putting it in storage, and we may be playing down at the Kennedy Center or somewhere next year again with it. So
That's very good.
right.
I understand that there's another phone caller who was a neighbor of yours, remembers that you used to make puppets. You have no secrets from us, I warn you.
It has to be someone on
Right.
Keswick Avenue.
In your hometown.
Yes. And my children both keep saying, when are you going to take us to see 15K? Which is what we nicknamed the house we used to live in, 15 Keswick Street. But I used to have my own theater, the Barron Theater, in the basement of our house, and I would charge admission. And I did this when I was 12 years old. And I had a wonderful English teacher when I was in high school, a lady named Mildred Wagner, who I used to get bookings all over town. And of course I was young and I couldn't drive. And she used to drive me out to Oakland or anywhere I had to go, out to Mount Lebanon, so that I could perform these shows and be paid. And I used to pay for the gasoline, insist on paying for the gasoline. But that kind of devotion you don't find too often among school teachers anymore.
That is nice.
Yes.
And he built another puppet theater for our children.
Yes.
Hey,
Barron
beautiful
Theater too, they
yeah.
have.
That's so nice. You mentioned that you're doing there's more interest in you as an actor. Is there anything you would want to do together?
We did.
Acting?
As an act? Yeah. Oh.
No.
Not much.
Why
He doesn't like to rehearse as much as I do.
The one time we did play together, we played in Bus Stop once together.
Oh, yes.
Where she was playing Grace and I was playing the bus driver, and I had to come into the bus stop and lean over the counter and say, well, how are things going, Grace? And then the play was written so that those characters disappeared. And she leans over and she says to me, how many people are in the house tonight? Well, I'm a little more method than she is, and it just completely threw me. So, Lunt and Fontaine, we are not.
Well,
maybe Groucho
no,
and Mae
if we're
West
thrown
or something
together,
like
we'll
that.
act together. If we're thrown together, we'll act together. We haven't been turned off.
Well, you called her a natural actress before we started the program.
Yes.
You said to me she wasn't tutored in a sense.
Oh, yes, I was. And
well,
I'm very
from,
much
I mean, from
method,
Carnegie.
very own. But I had my classes in New York City. Oh, yes, very much so, and I lean on that technique even today.
Who are some of the
Value it.
people?
Joseph Anthony was one of my teachers, William Hanson, Jane Rose, who is now Cloris Leachman's mother-in-law on Phyllis.
Oh, yes.
And these three people were tremendous influence.
Good. We're going to take a break, and we will return with Bill and Jean Putch, and also Louise Brown, who is Director of Parks and Recreation, who has a delightful guest to bring on with her, and you'll meet both of them in just a few moments.
my pouch. To the bear said the kangaroo, oh, you're stepping on my toe.
How long did it take?
We promised that Louise Brown would bring an intriguing guest. This is it. The name is what?
Bammer.
Bammer. Bammer. Now, Bammer is 2 months old, and it's long may he stay 2 months, because as he grows older, he will rise to a level of 7 feet. 7 feet, wow.
Almost 7 feet. Bammer was born at the Pittsburgh Zoo and has been raised for the last 2 months by Director and Mrs. Howard Hayes. Director Hayes is the director at the zoo. And we hope that this summer he will be in the children's zoo so that everybody can come and say hello to him. And he will get to weigh between 350 and 400 pounds.
Wow. So now's the time,
I'm afraid we
to
won't be
hold
able
him.
to do this with him in a couple of years.
Jean, do animals
Oh, I love that cute little thing, yeah. I think he's adorable.
Isn't he cute?
Yeah,
Won't bite or
hello,
anything
baby.
like
Not
that?
much.
None.
He just
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Louise, by the way, is, well, one of the reasons that she's with us is to draw attention to the fact that there is a remodeling program going on at the Pittsburgh Zoo. And, all kinds of things are happening as far as the children's area is concerned.
Yes, we're doing a lot of work right now. We're painting all the exhibits in the Children's Zoo, Marie. We're also painting all the cages and the interior of the main zoo building.
Boy, you're going to get a new
the
house there.
concessions.
A new house for you.
So
How nice.
Bammer's going to have a new house with his other friends in the Children's Zoo.
He's teething. He's teething.
A little bit.
How can you tell that?
I think he thinks the microphone is something
I
else.
think so too.
Yeah, so often we hear that on stage, actors should be wary of children and animals.
Yeah.
Because they're scene stealers.
They're scene stealers,
Have you had
yeah.
any experience, Jean, with animals on stage?
Yes, we've had animals at Totem Pole. Sure.
We used our own dog.
Yeah, that's right. Our dog I played in the show. Yeah, cute.
But you've never had any problems of
No. Of
with-
course, you always have to accept children. You know, they're going to steal
gonna
a
see,
scene.
How about you, Bill? Have you had anything ever happen to you on stage with an animal?
I sometimes think playwrights don't like producers because sometimes they'll give an animal an absolute impossible situation. you
Such
know.
as?
Well, like I was just thinking about in the play years ago, there's a cat in it that has to come in and out on its own and things like this, and you just can't get a cat to do that. They're so independent anyway.
We had a nice cat in Everybody Loves Opal. That was fun.
Yes.
Just cradled it. And
Yeah.
it was sweet.
What about All in the Family?
We haven't had an animal.
You haven't
in
had
All
an
in the
animal?
Family.
No
No,
animals, that's
as I recall.
It did have a baby,
Oh,
right.
sure, yeah.
but they had to have twins.
Well,
in order to do
yeah,
that.
only one acts, though. I mean, one replaces the other one when one gets tired.
Louise, you're so comfortable with that animal. This is relatively new to you, isn't it?
Well, it
This
is
a new
relatively
role
new,
for
but
you.
I am learning, Marie. The Children's Zoo opens May 15th, and for about the last 6 weeks, I have been attending with many other volunteers at the zoo a course on Wednesday evenings, which is teaching us all about all of the animals at the zoo. And this course will be offered again this coming summer, so I'd like to encourage people who are interested.
This is open
in
to the
zoo.
public.
This is open to the public. The only requirement is that you are interested in the zoo and are willing to work on a volunteer basis in the Children's Zoo.
Oh, I see.
to
In
work
other
with the
words, in
animals.
return for what they're going to teach you, that you will give your newfound expertise. I shouldn't use that word. I saw that news cut the other day with George Wallace, in which he was
Yes,
making
I saw
fun
that.
about expertise, that he didn't have it and didn't allow it in his house.
Well, these graduates will be considered docents, and we'll give guided tours to school groups as well as go into the schools.
So active.
Oh, you're
though.
so
He is
Really
active.
tough on you.
That mouth
He's
is big.
active
Oh,
today.
Yeah.
Sort of like a nurse's aides to hospitals. You're going to have young people come and work. Wouldn't our son love to
He'd
go
love-
work at the
We
zoo?
have
Yeah,
many,
that's
many
great.
young people
Oh,
who are
boy.
volunteering their time this summer, too.
What a-
When you were studying drama, Jean, did they ever say to you the next week's lesson would be for you to make believe you're a certain animal?
Oh, definitely. I had many exercises, and I used it because it's one of the best sources of imagery
Is it?
for a part. Oh, yes, no
What
question.
about rhinoceros?
Well, yes,
went to
there's
the
an
zoo.
example.
Rhinoceros.
That's the play with Zero Mostel, in which I performed in New York, and then later both Bill and I went on tour with it, with Zero. And I was a woman who turned into a rhinoceros. But my main I didn't do that on stage, but Zero did. But I looked out the window from the second floor of this building, and I looked down and I saw my husband, who had already turned. The whole village was turning into a rhinoceros, into rhinoceroses. I guess that's the right plural. And so I had to look down and recognize my husband. So of course I went to the zoo to do my research.
Definitely.
Trouble was the rhinoceroses at the zoo were all asleep.
Wait for the floor. I can remember once at the New School for Social Research, and I was already started in the news business, and I was a little shy. I thought acting would be a good thing for me to sort of loosen up a bit.
Yeah.
And one of the exercises was to go to the zoo.
Yes.
And I can remember the animal I picked, because it was sort of an English part that I had, was a llama.
Lovely.
It suddenly seemed so
marvelous.
snooty.
Marvelous.
Nose in the air.
That's a lovely image. That's what you use it for.
It was very good. But
yes.
I know what you mean, because studying that animal at the zoo gave me an awful lot in the way of interpreting that role.
Exactly. And music does the same thing. Paintings can, as well as real people.
They say that people look like their pets. Do you believe that?
Dear.
You know, that you see somebody and all of a sudden, well, I knew they would have a dachshund. Yeah. I knew that person would own a dachshund, or that person would have a collie. Yeah. Either the pet takes on your qualities or you take on...
Now, when did they make so many stuffed bears? Because they're so cute.
They're adorable. What other devices did you use besides...
Oh, look at that.
That's a funny shot from this end.
He loves the
feel of your
patent
sock.
leather.
Uh-oh.
He's looking at himself. Is that?
Honey. He's got his claws
He likes
in
the
your
wool
sock.
socks too.
Right.
Well,
isn't that silly?
There he's on, yeah.
Gee, what other devices did you use when you were studying acting, besides the going to the zoo?
Animals, music, paintings. Paintings is a great source.
Really?
Oh yes, and still is. You know, it's wonderful for actors to go to art galleries, and there's something to find there that will just immediately tell you, oh, that's the part. And of course, if you're sensitive to music, you can find it there. It opens doors, you know.
I say our little friend has found a friend. Isn't that adorable? He wants to do combat with you, Bill.
Now you'll know if you go camping.
Well,
what to do.
Yes.
Do you ever go to the zoo to do anything but get ideas for roles?
Well, when my children were little, I used to take them. Tell me, what about the parent of this child?
The mother rejected the cub
really?
when he was born.
You
and
poor little thing.
Oops. Now, come on. And
hey, don't
which
get
is
on
unusual, which is unusual for this particular bear, but it does happen from time to time. So the director swept him up and raising him in their home.
Oh, I see.
Does he usually rejected do this? Is this playful?
Child.
Yes, he's having a wonderful time. He loves every minute.
Don't go after my ankles.
Do you think he'll recognize Jeanne from TV?
I doubt it. His interests seem a little less than that.
Do you watch All in the Family, Louise?
Oh, every week.
Do you?
Every week. I love it.
Is it a surprise to you to see Jeanne this way?
There.
Yes, it is.
So you used to do this with the kids.
You sound quite different.
Who, me? Yes. Oh, that's good.
You don't like that role, I'm convinced.
Oh, I love it. I have a great joy in doing it, but I do not like to be identified with it when I'm off camera.
But most people can't help but.
No, I understand that it's comes into the home weekly, and I'm a very familiar face, but they must realize there's an actress doing that role, just like a painter paints a portrait. Mm-hmm. This is what I feel people are not conscious of, so that they are disappointed some when they see me and I don't sound like Edith or act like Edith or think like Edith, and which is slow.
Yeah, it's quite a difference.
You know, I only resent the fact that they are not conscious that all those people doing that work in Hollywood are actors, artists, portraying and working at their craft. And so it's become my mission to educate people to this fact.
Okay, while our little friend here goes scouting, he's exploring. He's exploring.
He's going to chew up the wires.
We will return with all our guests in just a few moments.
Let us out, let us out, let us out, let us out. The zoo is overloaded. Let us out, let us out, let us out, let us out. The population has exploded. Watch out! You're stepping on my snout, said the moose to the honking goose.
You have to act a certain way.
It's been years since Bill Putch was here, and I got a feeling it's going to be many, many more years before he comes back. People are going to say to him, "How do you like being on television in Pittsburgh?" And they'll say, "Oh, it's all right, except they bring on these little cub bears that scratch you and all." How are your ankles, Bill?
They're fine. Yeah.
A little, not bloody, I hope.
No, just a little nip.
Yeah, there's the noise of the bear.
Oh, there's the sound.
You've changed your mind about having one at home. I did say it. I did say it. This is a very difficult thing, I would believe, for people not to call you. And when you're traveling anywhere, for example, don't people say, "Hi, Edith Bunker"?
Well, when they say "Hi, Edith," and some do, I don't turn around if I'm at a distance because that's not my name. However, if I'm close enough, I will turn, smile, greet them, and say, "The name is Jeanne." And then, but most people say, "Aren't you Jean Stapleton?"
Yeah.
So
people most times are very nice when they recognize you, and
oh, of course they are. They're very, very.
And yet,
lovely.
I'm sure that you've come across some of your colleagues who are almost rude to fans.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been with them among fans. I don't know of any. I guess so. I think it's wrong because they're only acknowledging you because they love you. That is my case anyway.
You only hear the negative stories. I mean, you can sign 100 autographs, and then maybe the 101st, they may catch you at a very bad time. You may be rushing.
Sure.
And you may be a little short, and then that's the one everyone repeats. So-and-so's difficult.
Yeah,
I mean, it's can't win them all.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming today. and
It's a
taking the
pleasure
time
to
between
be
your
with you.
appearances. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Jean
Thank you for having us.
Bill
Thank you.
Putch, and Louise
Thank
Brown
you.
to remind us about at the malls there is much going on concerning the zoo.
And the
Thanks again. Thanks
Carnegie
again.
Mellon.
Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you on Monday.
Marie Torre's wardrobe by Linton's, set furnished by Kaufman's Pittsburgh, flowers by Salvi and Tom.